Hello, I'm Francisco Nunez, and I'm the Artistic Director and founder of the Young People's Chorus of New York City. And I'm happy to be here with one of my mentors and teachers, Elaine, who is one of the finalists for the Grammy Teacher of the Year Award. I'm so excited.
So am I.
Well deserved, I will say. I'm really excited. You know, many years ago, I was here at NYU. I never wanted to be a teacher.
I know that.
I wanted to be a pianist and be a classical musician. But you turned me around by just saying, you know, give it a try. Just come and see.
That's exactly right.
Come and work with some children. That turned me around. And today, I'm in love with students. And I'm in love with my teaching. That's because of you. How do you get a young person to want to go into the music business of teaching? How do you, as a teacher, inspire them?
Well, you first of all have to give them an experience that they really enjoy as a performer, as a participant. So you want them in your bands, your orchestras, your choruses, your jazz bands, your drum lines, whatever it might be. And then you talk to them, give them a little bit of responsibility. That helps too. Could you take the attendance for me? Could you make the phone calls to the students who aren't here today? So they get the feeling of what it's like to be in a little bit of authority. And then maybe, would you like to conduct a number? Do the rehearsal warm-ups? And if I see that spark there, and they'll come back and say, yeah, I like that. And if they come back glowing and say, that was great, I've got them hooked.
So you were able to find the inspiration of someone else, but what inspired you? What are your philosophies in music education?
I believe that you've got to have something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. And make sure one piece is in 3/4.
Oh, really?
Really. And I've gone to so many concerts, and you have too, where everything's been written in the last 10 or 15 years and published by Pepper, and these teachers go out and grab it because it's new, but they don't know the Velvet Shoes by Randall Thompson. Mm-hmm. They don't know the Who Was in the Wind. They don't know the quality music. And that's something we have to feed into the students too. And you do that when you're teaching.
So when you were teaching all these years at USDAN, the music education students that you've had, who has been one student, for example, that's given you the biggest challenge and something that you didn't know how to figure out? And how did you deal with that?
Had one young lady who was really fantastic. When I first got her, she was not that much in music. Difficulty holding a harmony part, float up to the melody part all the time, but I worked with her. I really got her to the stage where she was responsible, she was really thinking of going into music, and we got her an assistantship at USDAN, and she got caught smoking pot and got thrown out, and that was my biggest disappointment, and that dropped her out. However, I did meet her in Northport several months ago, and she said that I was the only reason she stayed in high school. Really? Because of the music department. She was not a star, but she wanted music, and we turned her head around to something she could do in music.
Wow, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Are you still in touch with her today?
Yeah,
That's
still to see.
Okay. Music education is so important. I know that. It affected me as a young person. Where do you think it's going in the next 20 years?
It's facing a challenge right now, unfortunately, with financial difficulties that we're having, because the people that are in charge seem to think that we're a frill, and we're not. We are a core curriculum. Through music, you can teach students things that are difficult to judge in any other way. It gives them a feeling of happiness, a feeling of security, a feeling of positive, what should I say, positive participation. You have to change your approach every single year too. I can't teach the way I taught years ago. As a matter of fact, when I started teaching in 1951, I taught backwards. I started with a whole note. Kids can't feel a whole note, you start with quarter notes. Mm-hmm. So I started the whole note, the half note, the quarter notes. And that's not right. You have to start with the basic beat. You have to start with a quarter note. Nobody ever heard of Kodai and Orff and Dalcroze. So you add those things into your learning experiences, and then you take them in to enrich the classes. It's got to be, I tell my students that I teach, your class is, let's say, 30 minutes long. Try to get in there some singing, some moving, some listening, some playing instruments, some reading music, and some improvisation. Now logically you can't do all 6, but you can do 3. You don't sit there in one subject matter and just kill it. So if the singing becomes a little boring, you jump up and you move around the room. If they've been moving around the room and marching, then you listen to something and listen with a purpose, not just to let it wash over you, but what are you listening for? So these are in-depth teaching things that we do.
If you wanted to leave a legacy behind, from all the years of your as a teacher,
Mhm.
what would that legacy be?
That you are a current, alive teacher. I tell my students, when you have taught for 20 years, I want you to have taught for 20 years, not 1 year 20 times. Which means you have to change your philosophy. You have to change your way of teaching. You change your language. You've got to be current. I've come up with rap. I had students in the city of New York a few years ago that didn't want to do anything but rap. I said, okay, so we'll do rap. I was teaching dotted quarter notes at the time. So I came up with this one. Look what we got. That's a note with a dot. That's a plus sign in music, and it's worth a whole lot. You take the value of the note, the dot is worth half. Yeah, the two of them together. See, it's just simple math.
Wow, I think it's
So
great.
everything, the kids learn by Sesame Street, the kids learn by rhyme. And so if that's how they're learning, that's what you're going to teach.
It's amazing.
And that's what I do.